Hello everyone and welcome back to another webinar with Copters, and today we're going to be looking at how councils can use drones to utilize to save money and save time and be more cost effective in their actions. We're just going to go through some housekeeping stuff in the beginning just to make sure everything's all fine and everyone knows what's going to be going on through the webinar. So we're with Danny today to start with.
Hi guys.
And Danny's going to be taking you through your webinar. So just to make sure everyone's aware, we're going to be doing a Q&A at the end. So any questions that are in the chat, well, if you have any questions, put them through the chat and then we'll be able to answer those all at the end. We'll be popping through links to any products or anything like that or any training as we go through. But yeah, any questions, just whack them in the chat and we'll be able to answer them at the end as well. We'll obviously have links to Danny at the end as well. So if you want to connect with him on LinkedIn, if you want to have his mobile number or his Calendly link so you can book something directly with Danny, then you'll be able to do that as well. Could I just get a couple of hellos in the chat just to make sure everyone can hear us all fine? Just want to make sure that we're all coming through and it's all okay as well. Just make sure it looks like people are coming through. Looks like everything's coming through all fine. So I think we should probably get involved, Andy. So are you ready?
I will be. Yeah, all good.
Bro, I'll hand over to you guys. So I hope you enjoy.
Perfect, guys. Hi, guys. So, like I said, so this webinar is really giving you guys some information of how you can, as councils, utilize drone technology within your organizations and your different departments, and give you a bit of an insight in terms of some of the different applications that drones can be used for. So just giving a bit of a background on me, guys, so who I am. So I'm a UAV strategist here at Copters, specifically with the local authorities and the public sector as well. So I'll be walking you through the webinar and then going through the different parts. So I'm just going to, what we're covering. So kind of the procedure is going to go through who we are as Copters, giving you a little bit of information on terms of who are we as a company, where we're at, and kind of what we can offer. Then I'll kind of go through the problem of kind of what councils are facing at the current point in time and some of the problems that they will occur, and then I'll move on to where drones can actually help within these problems. So the different applications, the different departments, where drones can be really utilized to help you guys. Then I'll move on to the latter part in terms of what training you will actually need to operate a drone, because I know there's quite a bit of misinformation out there, or maybe some missing knowledge for you guys, and I'll go through what exactly qualifications they are and how you can decide which is the best one for your operations and your drone solution. And then I'll actually go through some of the drones and the payloads and some of our solutions of how to help the problems and help you guys be efficient and help you guys are where they can use. And then afterwards, like Tom said, we're actually going to have a bit of a Q&A where you guys can ask some questions and I'll answer them as best as I can. Just kind of that's a bit of a structure. So helicopters. Ourselves, our main mission is to revolutionize public safety organizations using drones. So really what that means for you guys, and our mission is at the forefront of where we are. We want to help organizations operate faster, safer and better with all the advantages of using drones. So whether that's improving processes, cost control, and give you guys better results for your jobs and helping in your organizations. So just some of the key points from us as Copters. We have exclusive drones and payloads. So within the UK, we have certain drones and there's payloads that you won't find anywhere else, giving you a stable leading aerial inspection solution. Another point is we're all in one place, so no matter what you'll need within your drone solution, whether that's hardware, whether that's software, training, technical support, advice, we've got it at Copters and we can help you go through from day one all the way to being advanced and up to speed. Kind of links in with our expert training. So no matter through our training, you'll always get that expert advice, expert qualifications, whether that's all the way up to WAFPL 5 in terms of our inspection, thermography, and even 3D mapping training as well. We offer world-class suppliers. So we have numerous different global partners, global manufacturers of drones within the global market that we be able to offer you guys and make sure that you've got the best solution out there, and leading into our industry specialists. So whether you're looking into surveying, inspection, education, public safety, we have specialists on hand, including myself, to help you guys get the right advice, the right solutions specifically for your organization, and make that bespoke. So that's kind of what we are at Copters, and kind of myself as well, and what we do. So for the starting point of why you guys probably be the main part of this webinar, so the problem, so what is the situation at hand at this point in time? So going into it, it is the lack of funding. So councils now we're estimated to face a 3.09 billion shortfall within the 2023 financial year. So the lack of funding there, guys, is really restricting councils and organisations and local authorities' budget, which means that a lot of different departments will be stretched thin, and we'll have to really look at streamlining their processes, improving these processes, and making the organisation, the council, a lot more efficient and a lot more, well, again, cost control is going to be really important in you guys. And this is something that drones can help with, including effective processes within your organizations and the different departments. That kind of really moves on and ties in well in terms of long timescales for job turnaround. So this may be using the request for outsourcing contractors, can take a lot of time and approval, going through that red tape, that bureaucracy, and making sure that jobs are essentially taking longer to even complete. So even that's kind of linked in with the new COVID restrictions that we've had in the last 2 years, extending that time a lot. And again, now coming out of COVID, that you really, councils will really need to look at streamlining those processes to make sure jobs can be completed within a timely manner. So some of these jobs may be roof inspections, which can require a large amount of equipment, so whether that's cherry pickers or scaffolding, can take a lot of time to set up and take down for where jobs necessarily could be using drones in terms of getting the data, getting the footage, and I'll go through some of the main advantages that you can actually use for in terms of next slide as well. And external teams can take longer to complete operations rather than in-house. So instead of going out and outsourcing to another company or another contractor, where taking time finding out who will that contractor be, getting that approved and even getting them in can take a lot longer than if someone in your department and your council has that in-house, be able to make that a lot quicker for even the customer, your community and yourselves to get through a lot more work. I'm sure you'll have a lot of now. And that links in as well to health and safety. So local authorities are responsible for a lot of health and safety of their staff, their subcontractors and their community. And negating that will really help improve, again, reducing the risk you put your colleagues and your employers at and your employees at as well. And drones can take that out. Whereas you can fly a drone, there's a lot less manual handling. Or again, taking where people, for example, roof inspections, you can use a drone to take that up. And again, taking risk out what's not really necessary as well. And so the last point there as well is the lack of communication with the community. So that basically public opinion towards a council, because I'm sure a lot of you guys may have people in the community ringing up saying jobs take a lot longer to complete and getting a bit of a bad press as well. Whereas if you be able to improve this and improve your public fiction and giving, again, letting your community know why it may take longer and some of the restrictions you have can greatly improve that as well. And that's another problem that you guys and councils have at the minute that drones can improve. And now what I am going to do is go through some of the different applications that drones can actually be used for. So where can drones help? So in this section of the webinar, I do really want to go through, I believe there is a bit of miscommunication and a knowledge gap in terms of what drones can actually be used for. So with the ever evolving technology and innovative technology that drones have now, it can really expand the applications that drones can be used for, especially within councils and the different departments. So whether that's building control, planning, housing development, and I'll go through a couple of these now. So the first one, where drones can help, is firstly building structure inspections. So whether that's building control, whether that's clerk of works. So one of the main benefits that drones can help with is that it's less expensive than traditional building surveys, or traditional methods that you might be using. So this brings me back to the point I made about scaffolding and equipment. So outsourcing this and getting scaffolders in to maybe produce an inspection of high-rise buildings that's not necessarily can be looked at from eye or get there easily. It can be expensive, and inflation is coming up now, as well as outsourcing cherry pickers for high-rise buildings, or maybe unsafe roofs, for example. And drones having in-house can take that cost away, and in the long term, it will save you money if you had X amount of roof inspections and routine inspections that you might have. It can really take that and cut the cost down, because if you've already purchased that one for at the start, you won't have to keep paying for these scaffolding or expensive contracts. You can do it in-house, saving you money. Again, that's only going to relate to more efficient processes for you guys, and faster completion times. So no need for scaffolding. So the fact is, you can, if you have a drone, it's easy to set up. It takes a lot less time to possibly erect the scaffolding. You can just get a drone, fly that up to maybe the roof or the building or wherever you need to get the inspection from. If you can just fly your drone up, it will take a lot less time to get the data you need, rather than having someone on the roof and getting them up. Again, helping you with that workload and getting faster completion times. The third point, again, is negate traditional health and safety issues due to less manual handling. So really, it takes out the risk of potentially putting a colleague of yours or yourself on a roof that you don't necessarily need to. So routine inspections of council-owned buildings, whether that's schools, whether that's even monuments or statues that you guys have to look after. If you can take that aspect out and use a drone and have someone on the ground where they're safe and not at risk up on a roof or up on a high-rise building, and you can take that out, again, there's a lot less risk involved, a lot less risk assessments and admin for you guys to do if you can just use a drone and put that up and still get the same quality data that you would by going up there. So then moving on to transport management. So what this can use, the use of drones can help in this department and this application, is really that real-time live streams can aid maybe possibly traffic activity analysis and survey large areas without need to close down sections of roads. So without causing congestion, without having to use diversions and causing, again, that public opinion towards the community. If you don't have to shut down roads, and you're able to survey, create maps of the area you need to, and see points where you could possibly improve traffic as well in your project management, it can really help streamline that process down. So again, enforcement is another application that drones can be used for, because this can record effects of damages of illegal encampments, possibly fly tipping, where that's domestic disturbances, and even footage in court as well that you might have to use and help the police with. So, for example, if there was an illegal encampment on council-owned grounds, you can use it for security purposes as well, rather than putting someone out there in maybe possibly a hostile environment or somewhere where you just need the visual inspection to see where it is. It can cover a lot more ground than just someone on the ground as well, someone on foot. Large areas of land where you can survey, see if there's any trespassing as well for you guys, and really save you money and save you time in these processes as well. So the next one is marketing and communications. So this drones is probably the main reason it was created in the first place, and the main application that people think to or go towards when they hear about drones. But it can do this to a very high standard. So whether that's marketing certain projects that the council is doing with certain groups or within the community, gives that different angle, gives them a bit of a bird's eye view, and creates some really good promotional footage for you guys to help involve your community. So for example, if you had a large scale project, maybe a construction site, it might be causing delays in traffic. Maybe the public just see that as, the council is just using, well, again, giving me time, or maybe giving my a lot more traffic. If they can see what the benefit of that construction site is, or how long that might take, give them a bit more information of what you're doing, and get that public opinion back on your side, or improve that as well. So that's just some, and I'll go into a couple more here. So road maintenance. So drones now, with the technology available, they are able to create a lot more kind of 3D maps to help you survey the different areas. So mapping large stretches of roads without causing major disruption. So again, that brings back to the point of using drones so you don't have to close down roads, cause disruption, and really survey that piece of land, create the model without disturbing any other people as well. And you can actually map and geotag to organize repair effectively. So if you can have pictures, have images of where these are in a particular location, again, streamlining and make you a lot more efficient in time saving as well. And replete flight paths using previous flight waypoints. So if you're mapping a certain area, you can use geotags and also have a mission planned, a previous flight or a previous survey. Instead of having to do that again and program that, some drones can actually record that, and you can use that again, so you won't have to create the waypoint in the first place, and making that project, that survey a lot more quicker, and get the data more effectively as well. Waste management as well. So using the 3D models, such a different technology, whether that's Pix4D, DJI Terra, that you can use, you can actually create models of landfill sites, and that can be monitored for heat and capacity of the site. So even using thermal drones to see what the heat capacity of the site is, see if there's any particular hotspots that you could be able to put down or look into and get that data, or even using volumetrics of the drone, using surveys as well, creating models where you can see if the site is beginning to get full, or if there's space where you can actually have, and give you a really good real-time update on that as well. And again, another point is safety. So if you're using drones, creating these maps and creating, again, just routine inspections to see if everything is safe, if you can use a drone for that and not use someone put a colleague or someone in a risk or at risk of doing these risky routine assessments, again, it's helping your colleagues and your employees safely and effectively complete these tasks. Another point is housing development and planning. So quite straightforward is that drones can actually be used for setting boundaries of site planning. So the construction site or a new build or a new estate, of clearly pointing where the boundaries are and helping, again, monitoring that development of that site. So whether that's getting in a bird's eye view of how the site is developing, how in terms of time lapsing, so that can be used to help you guys in terms of stakeholders, or showing the management of how that site is coming along, so you can actually see and even point out places where it's slowed down or there's less work, and highlight points that you could even improve in housing development and planning. And one of the last application is coastal management. So if councils or if your borough is on the coast and you need to survey the cliffs or the coast environment, or determine the likelihood and the impact of landslides or erosion of cliffs in a certain time lapse, you can use drones for that, and taking that risk out again, putting someone on the cliff face where it could fall or etc. If anything, making these processes are safer, and monitoring and collecting repeatable data much faster. Again, using the technology where I mentioned in road maintenance of the repeat flight paths, if you can do that continuously, you can make that a lot faster and get the data that you need in a timely manner. So those are just some of the main applications that drones can be used for. So some of the highlights there is inspections, surveying, communication, marketing purposes, and really got into your different departments. So whether that's planning, whether that's building control, communication, housing, property services, really, guys, there is some good application that you can use for, and I'm sure that's some of those. And if you do need any more information on these, put in the chat and I can answer at the end, or possibly get a virtual meeting with you guys. It really help if you want more information. So those are just some of the problems and the applications, what drones can be used for, especially within councils. So now, obviously we've talked through the training and the applications. Sorry, the application, the problem, and now I'm going to talk about the training. So there is a bit of differences in terms of what training you might need, and I'm just going to walk you through that to make sure you're all liable and you're all up to speed of the new regulations. So further training that you'll need to use drones. So it's not as easy as buying the drone and carrying on with the different applications. You will actually need certificates and licenses, and this will depend on where you're flying, what drone you're actually flying as well, and the risk involved. So some of these courses are A2CFC, GVC, and the OFCOL 5. So these are the three courses that I'm going to go through now. So the first one is your A2CFC. So this is your certificate of competence. So essentially what this is kind of your first course that you'll need to operate commercially. So this certificate and this training course will allow you to fly in the open category. So what this will allow you to mean is the open category is classed as low risk. So with this license, you'll be able to fly in more controlled areas, open spaces, kind of away from people and away from built-up areas. So this may include construction sites where you can control that, where there's no one around. And some of the actual things that you'll be able to do with your drone will firstly allow you to fly closer to people than you will before. So if you're flying a category 2 aircraft, or a drone weighs less than 2 kilograms. So you can, with the GVC, you can fly up to 50 meters away from uninvolved parties. So, and operate commercially as well. So how the course works is actually split up into 2 different components. So the first component is your theory side. So you will actually have 4 modules of theory, which will go through some of the law, responsibilities, and whether and operating procedures. And how you complete that is it's an online exam. So you go through the content online at your own pace using our own e-learning platform. And after that, you will then have to go for the exam. So it's 30 questions, it's multiple choice through the content that you've gone through. The second part is actually 4 hours of flight logs. So you will need a drone for all of the courses. So in terms of flight logs, this is using your drone for 4 hours and logging that. So some of this may include the flight time, so how long the start time, the landing time, the location, etc. But we will give you help with that, and we've got a dedicated training team to help you through these, and admin as well. Once you've taken your exam and produced 4 hours of flight logs, you will then get your A2 certificate and be able to fly in the open category within up to the A2. And that's all self-assessed, the flight logs. There is no in-person practical side. It's just self-assessed 4 hours, and then you take your practical. And that's really kind of a beginner course in terms of getting you set up and allow you to do a limited amount of drone use as well. The next course is going to be your General Visual Line of Sight Certificate, so your GVC. And what the GVC will allow you to do is actually allow you to apply to the CAA, so the Civil Aviation Authority. That is the whole kind of regulatory organisation that all drone use within the UK. And this will allow you to apply for your operational authorisation. So in terms of what the GVC will allow you to do with that, Firstly, you will be able to give overflight of uninvolved people. So this is in terms of whereas the A2 gives you just 50 meters of uninvolved people, you can actually use overflight. So this will be great for instances where you are creating a building inspection or communication or marketing. If you want to fly over people, you don't have to ask their permission. You have got the correct training in place for you to do that. And you are liable to fly over people as well. It will allow you to fly in more built-up areas and more populated areas. So, for example, towns as well, whether that's estates or possibly, this is really important for you guys if you are doing building inspections or structural development sites or using road maintenance, because you will be in built areas where there is multiple different buildings around. So whether that's if you're doing a roof survey, for example, on a school, or maybe a block of flats, council buildings, a council estate, this is where the GVC will come into place, because it does fall in the specific category, which those will come into, and that will allow you to fly in there. So this also allows operators to fly a drone up to 25 kilograms in weight. So really any commercial, industrial use drone, you will be able to fly. So in terms of what the course covers, this is split up a little bit different. So the course will cover 12 modules of content for your theory. So this is, again, going through a lot of some of the modules that you complete in the A2, such as air law, airspace, weather, meteorology, flight planning, risk assessments, operating procedures, human limitations, and you will go through that content. And this will really help you guys getting trained up in terms of being safe and using your drone in a safe way, be more efficient and effective with your drone as well. So your first part is completing the theory, and you will take an online exam for one of the options, or classroom, which I'll go through those as well. So theory, go through the modules on our platform, take a test, which is again 40 questions long and multiple choice. You will then move on to an operations manual. So what your operations manual is essentially a business plan to the CAA, which is have all your research in place, who flies under that, what you're aiming to do, and you will need to renew this every year to keep up to date and make sure you're flying safely as well, and CAA is up to date. Once you've completed that, and we'll give you help with that, got a template for you guys to actually access and fill in, you will then move on to a practical assessment. So your practical assessment, compared to the A2, where it's self-assessed, this is in person and assessed by one of our training team. And this is, again, a little bit more advanced, but still straightforward in using, for example, you might be using doing a descent or an ascent of your drone, maybe a top hat figure in different shapes, different circles as well. Just showing you competent using your drone for when you do go out for your site planning, your inspections, your surveys, etc. And we at Copters have 11 different flight locations within the UK. So whether you're in Scotland, whether you're in Wales, whether you're in England, whether you're in South, wherever you might be, we do have locations available, and there will be one close to you. And we do offer flight assessment to be taken in person. So two options is your online version, where this might work if you have to work around your work hours, if you need to be more flexible, where you can take the online theory test and your content will be all on a platform for you to go 24/7 and complete that whenever you like. And then you take your practical assessment in person, or we do have a 3-day classroom course for you guys. So if you have multiple pilots within your organization, you want to get it done quicker, we do have a classroom course where you can come into one of our locations, and you'll have first 2 days will be based on the theory, and you'll be with our expert training team and other people doing the GVC, or even a bespoke course for yourself and your drone team. And they will go through the theory aspects, making sure you're up to date and know exactly what you need to take for the test, and etc. And you take the test on the second day, and the third day is when you do your practical assessment. So you can complete that in 3 weeks. The online version may take you roughly, on something we say on a rough guide is about 3 weeks for the 3 weeks for the online, 3 days for the classroom. So that's your GVC. And that's something I would really recommend to make sure you're a bit more future-proof in yourself and never have to worry of whether you're in the right, if you're liable for your job, because this will allow you to do a lot more work than you need to. Moving on is an off-call level 5 certificate pilot's course. So this is your Chief Pilot's Award. So the main advantage of what this course will do is give, for example, if you want to create a hierarchy, if you want to give one of your drone team, usually within other councils and with other public sector organisations, they like to have a point of contact as a drone lead. And the Optical 5 is perfect for that because it will take your knowledge of drone use, whether that's deployment of drone pilots, whether that's maintenance and site, even giving you a bit of information in terms of a extended visual line of sight, beyond visual line of sight, and the planning and operating procedures as well. And this is actually accredited to a level 5. And this is only at Copters at the point in time because Ofqual, again, accredited because that course is up to that standard, and that's equivalent up to a second year in a bachelor's level degree. So that's, again, another benefit for your drone team and your colleagues as well. And how that is really based, that is just all coursework and an exam as well. So you'll go through that content of the different modules that you'll cover and then produce a piece of work up to level 5 standard, which is, again, maths, and then you'll be able to get your Ofqual 5 certificate. So that's your training, guys. So that's your different courses that you need within a council to make sure you have a trained up, safe, efficient and effective drone team. So now moving on to some of our solutions. So this is kind of the interesting bit in terms of what drones you can actually use and the different applications of which drone will need, which drone is better. So the first one is going to be the DJI Mavic 2 Enterprise Advanced. So this drone is specifically aimed at asset inspection, aerial inspection, because it's got the 2 different cameras, sensors that you can actually use. So that's your visual and also a thermal camera. So some of the specifications and some applications this might be used for, this would be really good for housing development if you're looking at building inspections, where if there's any heat loss, or whether that's waste management of landfill sites to identify what points maybe are hotter than others. And I really help you guys to streamline that process if there is a particular routine or a particular building that you need to inspect and is losing heat and wasting money. Again, helping you guys to identify that a lot quicker than other traditional methods. So some of the specifications of the drone, firstly, is launchable within under 60 seconds. So a really easy to deploy drone, which can be just set up, comes in a carry case and a hard case, and no matter what's building site or wherever you like to travel, everything is in one place with all the attachments, which I'll go through as well. Quickly deploy that. Again, highlighting that time and saving you guys time for when you are carrying out inspections. So it can shoot into 48 megapixels visual camera. So if you have to produce a video, it can shoot within up to 48 megapixels. So a really clear and quality camera to be able to get the data you need to present that in other areas as well. The thermal camera is 640 by 520 thermal camera. So this is the market leading thermal camera with the highest resolution out there as well. So whether you are looking at roof heat loss for roofs, landfills, or even possibly solar panel inspections, obviously now being renewables, really highlight and really get the data and high quality data faster and effectively as well with that drone. It's also got a 31-minute flight time with one battery. So 31 minutes. For maybe a reinspection might take you as well a couple of minutes. You can get quite a few out there. However, I would advise getting a few more batteries as well to cover you guys if you're doing multiple inspections in a day. So 31 minutes, quite a really good flight time for you guys to have. Mentioned that it's got the dual vision view, so you can use your red, green, blue, and also your thermal feed simultaneously. It's also got the 32 times digital zoom, so you can be in 4 times lossless. So you can actually be further away from the building or the inspection, or maybe possibly the school that you're inspecting, still getting the high quality data that you'll need as well. So again, it also comes with some of the attachments is a speaker, beacon and spotlight as standard that it will come with, as well as a smart controller. So you won't have to use your phone to connect it. It will have a smart controller specifically with the drone, and everything will be in a hard case for you to transfer as well. And the drone is 909 grams, so really light, really transportable, and quick and easy to deploy. And that's really used with inspection. So building control might be useful, housing development as well. That's really good for this drone. You also have the option to use RTK, so real-time kinematics, to make a lot more accurate data as well. So the second drone, this is more aimed at your surveys and your entry-level surveys as well. So it's the DJI Phantom 4 RTK. So this is particularly used for within surveys. So whether that's helping road maintenance, whether that's creating 3D models and maps for you guys to help, whether in coastal management and the different applications that I've mentioned. So this actually has a mechanical shutter. So it will take 20 megapixel camera with a 1-inch CMOS sensor. Really easy to use as well. Like I said, there it's entry level, but it's quite beginner friendly because it's a lot of the inspiration is taken from the consumer level drones that you might see as well. So in terms of the data you receive and helping you get that, 'cause it'll take a lot more pictures than say the advanced, for example, with that mechanical shutter, to produce a lot more higher quality data for your maps and surveys as well. The simple workflow is another great point in that, because you can just connect the USB straight to a laptop to transfer that data onto your device to then create and use the different survey software or mapping software you might be using. Create these fast and efficient as well, with the weight being 1,391 grams. So quite, again, lightweight, transportable. So quite a really good drone to use on the go as well, with a flight time of 30 minutes. So you can cover quite a lot of ground with that drone as well to an extent. So the third drone is going to be a Matrice, DJI Matrice 300 RTK. So just as the Phantom 4 as well, where it's got the RTK to utilize that more accurate data, this drone is one of our best-selling drones. No matter what industry, whether that's inspection, whether that's surveying, whether that's public safety and defence as well, because of the payloads and what can be carried simultaneously. Get my words out there. So there's a variety of payloads for different industries, different applications that it can be used for. So as standard, with the drone, it comes with a 55-minute flight time. So this drone has an extended battery life as well. So any data that you need, so whether that's a larger amount of inspections that you'll need to use, whether that's a large area of possibly solar panels or a large area you need to survey, this drone is perfect because it's got that longer flight time for you to get the data without having to land the drone, change batteries as well. But in terms of the batteries, with a flight time, it actually has hot swappable batteries. So unlike the other drones where you'll have to turn them off to switch batteries, you can still leave this drone on if you take 2 batteries, which the drone will come with. You can take one out while leaving the other one in, swap the battery with still leaving the drone on without having to reset it, without having to calibrate that drone as well. So a really easy and efficient drone with a variety of payloads compatible to different industries, which I'll actually go through next. Max payload capacity of 2.7. You can actually have a max 3 payloads carried simultaneously. So if you did have multiple different sensors on the drone, you can have 2 at the bottom and 1 on the top to have different aspects used. With the advanced AI capabilities, it can actually be used the different systems, different payloads. It actually has 360 degrees object avoidance, up to 40 meters. So it's got the omnidirectional sensors for you to make sure that when you're flying, it will alert you if you're flying too close somewhere, or even possibly a hazard or a danger as well to the drone. So most importantly with the DJI Matrice 300 is you need to know what payload is best for your application. So these are some of the main payloads that I would recommend with the DJI M300. So the first one is DJI H20T. So the main application for this will be inspection, because it has actually the thermal camera and also a visual and wide lens camera as well. So this actually has 20 megapixel zoom camera with a 12 megapixel wide camera as well, and also shooting in the 640 by 512 thermal camera. So one of the leading data what you'll need for your thermal, whether that's again solar panel, can do this to a lot higher standard and a lot more data. So it's got smart tracking as well, so you can actually pinpoint the location you will start and track targets, actually send coordinates to command and control as well, with the 1200-meter laser rangefinder, so you can exactly see. That's where the smart waypoint will come in. You can thoroughly pick out a point and make sure the drone flies there as well. That's visual or thermal, so great for building control, great for planning, housing development. So then you have your Emerson hover map. So this is an autonomous mapping payload, so it can be mounted, or you can even use it on not just carrying it as well. So it is designed to work seamlessly with the DJI Mavic, the Matrice 300. So what this will do, plug-in capabilities, use GPS, point cloud data for you to geotag, and actually has collision avoidance, and uses lasers to map the environment. So whether that's internally or externally, so that would be great for possibly potholes, for on roads, or mapping surveys. It's a really great piece of kit for using within that sector. Then you've got the DJI P1. So this is your for photogrammetry again, what you can use for surveying and 3D maps. So specifically designed for photogrammetry flight missions. It will use 45 megapixel full frame sensors. It will take a load of photos. So every photo, 0.7 seconds it will take. So this will great to a lot more accurate data when you are looking at mapping, when you are looking 3D models as well, for your surveys. So whether that's new structural development, potholes, coastal erosion, and it can actually cover 3 kilometers squared in a single flight. So those are the best payloads to use with the Matrice 300, and the more advanced as well. So what I will say, guys, that is the end of the presentation in terms of going through the applications and what we offer. But I will say, if you some of these solutions, if you are interested, please get in touch with myself, and I'll have my contact details after, and ask any questions in the chat, and I'm going to go through them now. I hope I can get through a few, but if I don't get through them, I will get in contact, and you can contact myself with my details, because we can create a bespoke package for yourself depending on what need, and to narrow down what will be best for you and your council, depending on what application you want to use. So now, guys, so this is the Q&A. So do please put any questions that you've got in the chat box, and I'll try and answer as best as possible.
Brilliant. Thanks, Danny. So we're going to go into the Q&A now. So we have had a couple of questions coming in sort of as we've been going through. A lot of people asking, is the webinar going to be recorded? So yeah, you'll be able to find the webinar through the same link that you found it today. I've put the link in the chat as well, and it'll also be on our YouTube channel by the end of tomorrow as well. So if you want to head over to there, you'll also be able to find it on our YouTube channel by close of play tomorrow afternoon. So we had a really good question from Danny Phillips, and that was just regarding the cost of 3D mapping Pix4D. So I believe, Danny, the training for Pix4D, it's £245. Is that correct?
Yes. So that is your Pix4D Essentials training. So that is £245 ex VAT for that course. However, there is courses depending on what software you need. So there's a few different options, whether that's Pix4D Mapper, Pix4D React, Inspect, etc. There is different prices and different ways to pay that, whether that's monthly for the actual software, yearly, or perpetual license. And if you do want more information on those, Danny, for the exact prices and all of those, we are more than happy to go through those, or maybe a meeting or a call. And I can go through each, what would be best for you, and the prices for how you'd like to go. You pay for that.
Yeah, so he's asked as well the cost for basic cost for the Pix4D license, and I believe that's around £2,400 for the year. Is that correct?
Yeah. So monthly it will be around about 283. Yearly, again, I believe it's around 2,400, and then a perpetual license is, I believe, I'll have to double check. I think it's within about 3,300 mark, but I'll have to double check. But yeah, for a yearly, it will be around 2,400 ex VAT.
Yep, brilliant. I'll have a look to see if we've missed any questions in the chat as we've gone through. But Danny, great webinar. If there's any questions, we have put Danny's Calendly link, so you'll be able to see his diary in the chat as well. I'll pop that in again in a second, so you can have a look at that. You can book straight into Danny's diary whenever's available, and you'll be able to have a one-to-one conversation completely free of charge, and he'll be able to advise you of the best solutions for yourselves, learn a bit more about your specific needs. There's also Danny's email in the chat as well, so you can have a look. It's just danny.wilson@copters.com. Is that correct, Danny?
Yeah, so danny.wilson@copters.com. As well, give me a call on my personal mobile, which I'll hopefully put in the chat as well. So that's 07908 262 799. Just give me a call in there, and I'll hopefully can arrange a meeting, and then we could go through any questions you've got for specific your council. But yeah, please do get in contact, guys, because it'd be really great to understand what your needs are and how we can tailor that for the best solution.
It doesn't look like we've got any more questions in the chat for now, but as I said, if there's anything else that you want to find out, get in contact with Danny and be able to sort anything out. Thanks for joining us, guys, at today's webinar. We hope you found it useful. As I said, you'll be able to find it through the link that you found the webinar today. We're live on all our social media channels. That's LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And then you'll also be able to find it on YouTube tomorrow by close of play around 5 o'clock-ish. But thanks for joining us, guys.
Perfect. See you later.